All right, well, thanks so much for coming, everyone. I know it's been a long day of sessions, and it's kind of nice to cool off with a drink or so. My name is Christopher Dalia. I work at Accruent on the Siterra platform. I've been in the wireless industry most of my career. I just want to take some time to introduce our panelists sitting up here. We've got Evan Eschmeyer, CFO of Atlas Tower. We've got Vincent Say, Director of Site Operations and Development, and Laith, Dahiyat, Director of Product Management at Accruent. If you guys could just take a couple of seconds to just introduce yourselves and the company. I'll let you go first, Evan.
Yeah, sure. Atlas Towers is really a series of tower portfolios. We're on number 6 now, I think, 5 or 6. We're about to start 6. We've exited from 3 of them. Generally, we build them up to 20 to 30 towers and then sell. We also have a small services company that manages a lot of the work for the tower portfolios.
Great. My name is Vince, and I'm with Gogo. How many of you guys have flown in here today or yesterday? And how many of you guys have used our service? If you don't know who we are, we provide communications connectivity to the aviation market.
All right.
Great, and I'm Laith, Dahiyat. I'm Director of Product Management at Accruent and for the Siterra product line. So I'm responsible for the Siterra platform and the product as far as product strategy and market strategy for the wireless industry.
Great, thanks guys. So we just wanted to organize a quick little thought leadership panel session to kick off the happy hour. The topic today is we're keeping pretty general industry trends and wireless challenges, but we will get into some more specific topics like international expansion, small cell and DAS deployment challenges, and we're looking forward to getting a good conversation going around that. And then one other note, if you could please drop your business card in a bucket that Sarah is right next to Sarah Keith over there. And then you'll be entered in for an iPad drawing that we'll auction off, raffle off at 6:30. Thanks, guys. All right, so I think we'll just jump right into it. So Evan, as part of your international growth strategy, you're expanding heavily into South Africa. Can you speak to some of the obstacles you're facing as you begin to do business internationally?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think we have kind of a unique set of obstacles, or not unique, but different. A lot of the companies, there's a lot of talk about international development, but a lot of those are companies going out and acquiring 1,000 towers off the bat. And that's a different set of obstacles than we're facing going in and trying to build developer relationships and kind of go about the same kind of bootstrapping model that we did here. It'll be a little easier in that we're not going to have to start quite as small, but we're finding the right equity partner here and finalizing that. So it's a matter of finding the capital and moving it in. And then I think some of the challenges are similar. You better have a tax plan figured out before you go in if you plan to repatriate the money anytime soon. Understanding local business practices and what violates the foreign, I'm blanking, the foreign bribery. Like you better do your homework before you go in, because certain local customs are going to be a challenge and different. You want to be prepared for that. So I think for us, going in smaller, the positives are definitely that we'll be able to kind of find our way and hopefully not stumble too hard off the bat. But the fundamentals that we look for are the same that you look for in the United States. You want to have some robust competition between carriers, and you want to have good property right laws. And that's what sparked our interest, and now it's hopefully going to become more of a blocking and tackling issue.
Gotcha. Cool. So it sounds like there's just a lot of things to think about going into it, a lot of preparation. You kind of touched on the tower sharing model and those kind of countries that are making a good candidate to expand into internationally. Vince, can you speak a little bit to that, what the expansion road looks like? I mean, you've been with Gogo since the startup of it. Just any obstacles you may have faced, as well as expansion into the future.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work at essentially 2 startups. I was at American Tower back in '99 when the tower industry was starting up, and had an opportunity to work there at a tower company and really gain some knowledge there that was able to apply when I transferred over to Gogo. And in '06, Aircel at the time won the licenses to broadcast on air-to-ground. And in '07 and '08, we built the ground network. And in '08, we had our maiden voyage with American Airlines. And all of that started, that idea of in-flight connectivity started back in 1991. Actually in Texas, when one of our original owners sat down and wrote this concept on the back of a paper napkin. And here we are today, back in 07, 08, we launched a new business, which we've seen grow exponentially. And today we have over 8,500 aircraft with our connected systems, and both business aviation and commercial aviation. And we offer a suite of technology to our customers. And that's one of the big things as we continue to grow, and as we are now a global company, and as we grow and expand internationally, we have to be able to approach customers and to be able to offer them a suite of different products, but also be able to back that up and to be able to develop a product, but also be able to operationalize that product. And that's one thing when we come to the table to meet our customers, that's one thing that's unique about Gogo. And to date, we've actually started to expand and build offices throughout the world. And currently right now we have airlines that we've signed up, like JAL, Aeromexico, Air Canada, that we've recently signed up, and we'll be expanding our services to them. And so for those of you that travel, that will travel, hopefully you can benefit. Just actually this first quarter, we had our maiden voyage on Delta, where we flew from Atlanta to Tokyo and also from LA to Tokyo. So we're able to fly over water and provide service via our satellite system. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. So for those of you that travel internationally, hopefully good surfing on the internet.
Great. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear about the various paths companies take as they go from being small to large. And Atlas Tower is growing very quickly. Evan, as CFO of a very quickly growing smaller company, how do you find traditional financing?
It's easier now than it was even a year ago, I think. I think that with a lot of companies, you kind of get into those awkward, teenage years where you're not bootstrapping anymore. You're to the point where you want to do more than one or two towers. You've been successful, so your deal flow picks up, but you're not to the point of the big boys where you're going to tap the commercial finance sources. So for us, I think the biggest thing's been education. Like we've hit the road, I've hit the road, and I shouldn't say hit a short road sometimes, just going down the street to the local bank, because I think it's about telling the story, right? It's about telling the growth story that has made this industry successful and explaining it as commercial real estate. And I think that that's really resonated. I think that the equity has been less of a challenge. It's always a challenge to get on the terms you want and not the investors, but I think equity's been easier to find. It's a matter of putting that leverage in place. And just having talked to a few people at this conference, even over last fall, it seems like some of the smaller tower cos have been more successful. I walk in and say, hey, if you could finance that strip mall down the corner and point out the window, and your customers were AT&T and Verizon, and they signed 10-year leases, and you knew the historical renewal rate was 98%, would you want to do that deal? Now, would you want to do the deal at 40% leverage? Heck yeah, all day long, right? And I think that's been the story that I've found has been resonating for us recently. Yeah.
Gotcha. So just given the staggering demand for wireless service, I think expansion is a word that every player, every sub-industry in the wireless space is truly being affected by. And just given the ecosystem, as various companies start to collaborate more closely with each other, Laith, can you talk a little bit about how Siterra enables collaboration between these different types of players?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because we kind of sit in the middle of all the different sort of players in the wireless industry, not only domestically, but now more so internationally, whether you're a large or small tower company, a traditional carrier like a Verizon or a Sprint, someone like a Gogo that's more of a technology company that's really innovating in that space. We're in the unique position where we're sitting in the middle. I think what we see over and over again, and what we hear from our customers, is we need ways to collaborate more effectively. If I'm a service provider, I need to be able to service my carrier customer in a more effective fashion so I can grow my business. On the carrier side, what we tend to hear, particularly in the U.S., is it's all about time to market. We need to get to market. We need to get to market faster, with 4G LTE technology as well as quality of service. We need to deliver a higher quality of service. I think somebody in the keynote used the kind of analogy of our network's a mile long but only an inch deep, right? The quality of service now that 4G LTE networks are materially complete in the U.S., it's going to be more about the capacity and the coverage. So what we're seeing is an increased demand for more effective collaboration. Siterra is the kind of system that's meant to be a system of record for a cell site portfolio, for project management or program management portfolio. So more effective ways to collaborate is key. And then really, how do I get the data out of the system in a way that I can make business decisions against it? So the idea of business intelligence and the consolidation of data so that we can move our business quickly, is key. So we're investing a lot from the product development side on mobile applications that help time to market, as well as business intelligence for the C-suite to track the deployments, right, and to track their networks.
Right. It's always interesting to hear about how a solution that manages network infrastructure does so much to enable companies to collaborate, to deploy it. So speaking of software managing that life cycle, Evan, moving from solutions like Excel or all the way to a SaaS-based infrastructure management system like Siterra, how are you dealing with the growing pains of data management?
Yeah, some days good, some days bad. When I first came into Atlas, we were in accelerated growth pattern, and we're still basically using Excel sheets to keep track of everything. And it became pretty clear to me we needed to move into a more robust data solution. And for us, it's about scalability. That's what everyone's after right now. I think it's a great conference to be at because no one's questioning the fact there's opportunity. It's just how do you grab a bigger piece faster. And for us, we were at that stage where things were starting to hit the floor because different versions of different Excel sheets and other various methods we had of tracking our current situations where we're just not keeping up with the deal flow, basically. So for us, honestly, when we moved into Siterra, we were at the smaller end. I mean, I don't know every company you work with, but I know a lot of them are a lot bigger than us. And when I started to interview and explore different options for data management, we chose to kind of go with the more robust solution and try to pare it down to fit our needs. Every dollar still matters to us. And I think we struck a good balance. We're still, moving through the implementation stage, but I think what's important is I definitely didn't want to go through that process twice, because every man hour on our end is incredibly valuable, and every man hour we spend training on a new system is one that could be spent chasing other opportunity. So we chose to, upgrade a little further than maybe we needed today, with the expectation that we're going to be able to grow into it and use it for a long time.
Right. It's interesting to hear the story about the inflection points and how you're anticipating various other problems down the future and kind of trying to leapfrog where you're going to be in the future. And it seems like some of the challenges of managing the data behind your infrastructure is almost as difficult as deploying it itself. Vincent, as a carrier, your wireless infrastructure model is definitely a little bit more unique given the satellite component. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges of maintaining and deploying the wireless infrastructure?
Yeah, when we first built our network, our license back in 2006 is an air-to-ground network. And we built the air-to-ground network, national network, in 2008, and that's when we launched. And then we expanded into Alaska and then into Canada just this past first quarter, all air-to-ground. We provide speeds for our passengers currently with our ATG platform at about 3 megs per second, 3.1 megs per second. And we're enhancing that with a technology called ATG4, which gets about 9.8 megs per second. And what we've done recently, really the challenges of being spectrally challenged, is that our engineers, which I think are just the greatest world-class engineers, they've developed a solution that combines, at least here in the United States, a hybrid solution, a proprietary hybrid solution, which combines both the satellite and also air-to-ground. And so that we anticipate will provide speeds of up to 70 megs a second, and we'll have that available by next year, by mid-next year. So a little bit of a roadmap there in terms of what we do domestically here in combination with our GTO system, satellite, and also our air-to-ground system. And internationally, it'll be strictly satellite-based. So providing also that 70 megabits a second of service. So if you compare that to what you have at your home, you can do your, what do you call it, Ookla speed test, and you can figure out how that compares to some of the Wi-Fi services that you have at home. So we anticipate that our connectivity is going to be a great solution for our customers.
Interesting, yeah, and that hybrid deployment strategy, fusing together air-to-ground and satellite components is definitely very unique in the industry. And just the challenges you spoke to, it's similar to some of the challenges that you see, we're hearing a lot about the small cell and het nets and DAS deployments. We've already seen some sessions on that at the conference this year already. So Laith, what challenges are you seeing in deployment, and how does Siterra enable the small cell deployment strategy?
Yeah, I think really the takeaway from the last 6 months is we're seeing, across the industry, a little bit of a tipping point as far as the velocity of some of these small cell deployments, whether that's indoor DAS systems or metro cells a carrier might be deploying to infill for capacity and coverage. I think there's been a lot of sort of false starts over the last couple of years. If you've been coming to PCI, you keep hearing, okay, this is the year, this is the year. I think we're really seeing across all of our partners, 2014 into 2015 being a year where that deployment is getting accelerated on a large scale. I think aside from mobility and business intelligence, the last area we've focused on or can continue to focus on is take what Siterra already does for sort of traditional macro sites, what we've been doing since 2001. Taking all that project management, lease administration functionality, and transferring it over to the variety of small cell deployments. I think the biggest challenge is the complexity as well as the variety of those deployment scenarios. So what we've done with the product is enhance it and change it in such a way where whether it's a indoor DAS, a neutral host, Wi-Fi, or what have you, you can track a deployment and manage it in the same manner as a what's now relatively simple macro site build or upgrade program.
So it's one of those part of those small cell strategies that are helping companies get around the scarcity of spectrum, and leveraging some of that technology. And spectrum scarcity is obviously an issue affecting almost everyone in the room. Vincent, can you speak to how Gogo is dealing with some of the challenges of delivering content, connectivity reliably to end users at high speeds?
Yeah, sure. We, as I spoke earlier, the bandwidth that we have, the spectrum that we actually purchased is next to 800 megahertz, the B-band carriers, and we purchased a 3 meg sliver back in 2006 in the auction. And so we're spectrally challenged. And when you think about the carriers, the big carriers, and the amount of spectrum that they have, it's quite large compared to what we have. And so the challenges given to us and our engineers was to figure out, well, okay, if we've got 3 meg, how can we still deliver content and speeds that they're typically used to, right? And whether you're using Wi-Fi at home or at hotels, there's a certain expectation. And so what our engineers came up with is a technology roadmap with ATG4 that brings about the 10 meg per second, 10 meg of bandwidth, and then what we call our GTO solution, a combination that solves, hopefully, the issue of bandwidth for our customers. So we're able to provide really that rich experience that customers are used to. And so we offer other services. If you're on a plane, it's not just about connectivity, it's about also IFE, in-flight entertainment. And so we offer a service for our customers, which we call Gogo Vision, where you can order movies and TVs, and some of you in the room might have used it. And then we also are offering what we call Text and Talk, which is an app that you can download and will allow texting and talk, although that's a different subject. But text and talk availability through our network by downloading an app. So those are some of the rich, services that we provide to our customers. But to answer your question about the bandwidth and the spectrum, the technology roadmap, we believe, will really resolve that.
It's interesting to just hear about how you guys are working around what you guys have been allocated from a spectrum standpoint by innovating new technologies. Very interesting stuff.
So does that put you into, or non-traditional for this crowd would be, hey, we're not just a technology provider, we're also now a content provider with the need to provide real-time services.
Yeah, one of the things that we provide that conduit for customers to be able to access in-flight entertainment. One of the opportunities that the satellite connection with our GTO will provide that opportunity for potentially television, and that's one of the great opportunities that we'll be able to provide with that connection. And essentially, what the satellite will do is, if you're on the plane, it's that pipe essentially that will allow us to connect to the satellite, which is a larger pipe, and it's downloading, right? You think about what you do at home on your Wi-Fi system, you typically download more than you upload, right? So we're using the satellite piece to download, giving us a bigger pipe to be able to download at a larger bandwidth into the plane, and the upload portion will be the use of the air-to-ground system. And so that's how we innovate and hopefully be able to deliver a variety of different content to our customers.
Great. All right. So that actually concludes the Q&A portion of today's session. Did we have one last follow-up question?
I wasn't sure the exact flow here, I apologize, but the question was actually for Evan. So as you guys think about expanding out, and let's take domestic U.S. off the table, right? If you think about expanding outside of North America, for instance, what do you guys consider to be the most interesting opportunities or markets out there from an expansion perspective? Without giving away.
Yeah, it's no secret. We talked about it before. We're putting our first flag in the ground in South Africa. That's going to happen relatively quickly. Over the next, several months, we'll hopefully have a lot more to talk about. It's a combination of things. Like I said before, one, we want to have a government that's stable. Some people who want risk-adjusted return gets used a lot, and how much risk or how much do you have to adjust to accommodate for it. But we feel good about that. There's enough factors that can trip you out without having to worry about a regime change. We feel good about that there. And then I think, like I said, it's the same old-fashioned things. You want robust property rights and competition between carriers that's going to promote co-location opportunities. So that's, we're putting our money where our mouth is, so that's going to be the first one out of the deck.
I want to add to that Atlas Towers actually built a tower for us in Alaska, which is almost like a foreign country.
Yes, we've done several.
They actually built a site for us in Alaska that we co-locate on.
Yeah.
Back in 2010 when we expanded into Alaska.
Yeah, when you're small, you have to take some chances. I know that was a very expensive tower because you have to approve it. But I also know that no one's ever going to build one there again, so it'll be a very valuable tower, and it's since been sold. Don't know if you know that or not. And it did work out. Let's put it that way.
Good. It's right outside of Anchorage.
There you go.
So what you're saying is that tower was on that side ice for the truckers or something?
Actually, we do have a few that are on the tower show. Yeah. So I don't know if that was the one, but it could have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you guys know that? It was obviously not planned on our part.
I knew that.
You knew that?
Yeah, I knew
no
that.
idea that.
Yeah.
I didn't. No, I didn't.
I think it was before Evan, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.